Hello everyone, welcome along to our webinar this lovely Saturday afternoon. We're going to be talking all about jobs, or no we're not, we're going to be talking all about CVs and cover letters, with hopefully the end result of finding a job. My name is Mairead O'Connor and I am in the west of Ireland. And I've been teaching for a long time now, for over 20 years. And I've been with the TEFL Academy since 2015. So I hope I will give you a lot of useful advice on how to prepare CVs and cover letters in order to find your dream jobs. So if you're ready, let's begin. Let's have a quick rundown of what we're going to cover today. We're going to discuss the importance of a good CV and cover letter. We're going to look at some tips for putting together a good CV, an effective CV, and we're also going to look at tips for good cover letters. I'm sure you have all done many CVs and cover letters in your life for different jobs, but yeah, today we're going to focus on the particular details that you ought to be including in your TEFL CV. In case we have any North American trainees with us today, I'm using the term CV. You could also use the term resume. I know in Ireland, we would use resume for like a shorter document, maybe 1 page, whereas CVs might typically be that bit longer. But in any case, I'm going to use the word CV. And as you will see, I also recommend keeping them to 1 page. So that's just to clear up any CV resume vocabulary query. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Why is a good CV important? Well, as with any industry, a good CV is the first step to successful recruitment. Okay. This is especially true in TEFL, I feel, because we are very often applying for jobs far away from our own country. Okay, we are, applying internationally for the most part. So your CV will be the first point of contact you have with a school or a recruiter, very possibly in a different country. So the CV is crucial in grabbing their attention and, introducing yourself to them and selling yourself as to why they should employ you. Your CV will be the key factor in deciding if they give you an interview or not. Okay, so it's important that you put a lot of time into your CV and that you represent yourself as best as you can. It may seem very, very obvious, but just to state it anyway, your CV needs to be accurate, both in terms of content, in terms of your experience, previous employment, etc., but also in terms of your English. Okay, you are applying to be an English language teacher after all, so make sure you proofread. Get somebody else to proofread it for you before you attach it to your cover letter or to your email. You've got to make sure there are no spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors, etc. Be super, super careful about that. Another important tip for a CV, a TEFL CV, is that you've got to include information that is relevant to the post. Okay. I know in a lot of industries, gaps in CVs are frowned upon. In TEFL, not so much. Okay, and I'll tell you why. A lot of teachers starting out in the TEFL industry, they don't have any teaching experience, right? Because they're new, they're starting out. So what you've got to do is think back through your employment history and only pull out the jobs that are relevant or that share some skills with teaching. Okay, so if you had a job at one point for a couple of years, but it had literally nothing to do with teaching, with training, with interpersonal skills, then you can just happily leave that out. Okay, if you're not mentioning some past job experience for a reason, that's fine. All right. So try to only focus on the jobs that share some skills, that would also be applicable to teaching. We're going to look at a list of those skills later. Okay. But only include your relevant job history. Okay. As I said, if there's a job you had in the past that has nothing to do with any of the skills necessary for teaching, leave it out. It won't be a big deal. Okay, gaps in TEFL CVs are not the end of the world. I would also say to keep it simple. Try to keep your English as clear as possible. Avoid very, ornate, flowery language. Okay, just keep it basic, to the point. Okay, state your facts. Try to keep your language very clear and easy to understand. You may find that you're contacting recruiters, or that schools are employing recruiters whose first language is perhaps not English. So that's another reason to keep it simple and easy to understand. Okay, we don't want to cause any confusion. So like any CV, you do have to include some personal information. Okay. Now, photos. Let's start with the polemic one. I know in a lot of parts of the world, for example, in Ireland and in the UK also, photos on CVs are not really a thing. Okay, we do not tend to do it. However, in the TEFL industry, it is quite standard for employers to request a photo, depending on the part of the world you're applying to. All right. For example, when I started out as a teacher, I taught in Spain, and every single job ad for Spain requested a photo. So although I would never have put a photo on my CV for jobs in Ireland, I did when I was applying for TEFL jobs in Spain, because that's what they wanted. Okay, and they specifically requested it. So depending on the part of the world that you're applying to, they may or may not request a photo. And if they do request it, you're as well just provide it. Okay. In my experience, it's not for any other reason than the school will like to get a first impression of you, see that you look like a nice, open, friendly person. If you do decide to attach a photo, or if you have to attach a photo, make sure you're looking approachable, friendly, smiling. Okay, giving the impression of a person that is good with other people. Yeah, and a person who is approachable, friendly, who looks relatively trustworthy, etc. So you may or may not need to include a photo. Okay, if you're not sure if you need to attach one or not, just send an email to the school, and just ask them, like, would you like me to attach a photo or not? Okay, let them be the ones to tell you if you're not sure. So you've obviously got to give them your name, your date of birth. Again, that can be another slightly polemic one. Some schools will ask for it, some schools won't. If you want to include it, do. If you would prefer not to include it, don't. Okay, it's up to you on that one, I think. Your nationality. So a lot of times when we are applying for schools in other countries, we will need a visa, right? Or we will need some sort of work permit. So it's typical to include our nationality so that the school can see, like, okay, is this a country that we can easily get a visa for or not? Okay, so consider including your nationality. Of course, your email address, very, very important. I would say that if you have one of those typical funny email addresses that we all had when we were students, and that's a little bit silly, consider opening a new email account with a more professional sounding email address. Okay, you don't want to be having email addresses like partygirl76 on your CV. Okay, while maybe you were a party girl and you still are a party girl, try to go with a more professional sounding email address for your CVs and job applications. That also works quite well, I find, because then you have all of your job stuff on a separate email account, and it's just easier to keep track of everything. Okay, so yeah, that is definitely a tip that you can take into account. There is also the tendency now to link to your online profiles, more specifically your professional network profiles. For example, LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, you should definitely consider opening one. I have found it an incredible way to make contacts, to find out what's happening in the world of TEFL. It's really good for recruitment, etc. So do consider setting up a LinkedIn account if you don't have it, and link that into your CV so that your employer or your prospective employer can click and have a look and see what you've been up to. Needless to say, if you are on LinkedIn, keep it super professional. Okay, this is not a Facebook. It's not like a Facebook similarity here. LinkedIn, yeah, very professional. So I do genuinely advise opening up a LinkedIn account if you don't already have one. Okay, so that would be it for your personal information. Okay. Throughout your CV, try to make sure that it has good flow and pertinent language. Okay. I think an order that works really well, and an order that I see all the time in CVs, you start off with your photograph, if necessary, and your relevant personal details. Okay. Then your next section will be dedicated to your education and TEFL qualifications. When it comes to your TEFL qualification, I always advise separating that from the rest of your education stuff. Okay, so I would probably lead with TEFL qualification and give the details of what you've done. So level 5 TEFL included at, the course included aspects of grammar, teaching vocabulary, phonology, teaching skills, etc. So, give a little breakdown of the course, just so your prospective employer knows that you do have a TEFL qualification and that it has included all of the most important topics. Okay, then once you've outlined your TEFL qualification, you can go on to detail the rest of your education, whatever that may be. Another tip when it comes to your education, try to avoid using very country-specific terminology. For example, here in Ireland, we have an organization called ETB, Education and Training Board. So in Ireland, everybody knows what an ETB is, but if you put that on your CV for a job you're applying to in Japan, for example, they are not going to know what ETB is. Okay, so when you're outlining your education, try to use more generic terms like certificate in, or diploma in. Okay, try to keep it easily understood, because people from outside your country probably aren't going to know what each acronym or initialism means. Okay. I learned that the hard way when I started applying for jobs. I just kept getting employers emailing me back, or recruitment managers emailing me back saying, okay, great, but what does ETB mean? Okay, or what is QQI, for example? So yeah, that is some advice that will hopefully save you some time. After you've outlined your TEFL qualification and your other education, then it's time to move on to your skills. So remember before I said that you want to include job information or past employment history that is relevant to teaching in terms of skills? Well, these are the type of skills that you should be aiming to get across. You should detail experience that shows that you have had experience in developing active listening skills. Yeah, maybe any job you had that involved working with the public, for example, or any type of customer service job. Okay, they would really promote the fact that you have some active listening skills. The same for communication skills. Okay, any job you had that involved dealing with other people, maybe even dealing with people from other countries, etc. That would be a really good job to mention. If you are applying for an online job, it would be good if you have any relevant experience using computers, even if it's not professionally. Yeah, it would be good to mention, your level of proficiency in computer use. Okay, like I have experience working with the Microsoft Office suite, etc. Okay, it would be really good to demonstrate that you have interpersonal skills. Again, any experience working with the public, with solving problems, with helping, they would be very, very valuable. If you have had the opportunity to demonstrate leadership skills, mention that too. Okay, schools will love that, because what is a teacher but a leader of whatever class they are in and they are teaching at the time. It would be also nice to emphasize any management skills that you might have for the same reason. And if you have ever done a job, or if you have had interests or hobbies that demonstrate problem-solving skills, do be sure to mention that too. Okay, because all of these skills are really, really important in the EFL classroom. Okay, so your CV is not the time to be humble and self-deprecating. Okay, your CV is the time to just sell. Okay, you need to tell them why you are the best person for the job. Now, another thing that is so important when it comes to your TEFL CV is portraying yourself as someone who has experience in languages, yeah, and someone who is interested in exploring the world. Okay, if you have any language skills, give that their own section. Okay, or give that its own section. If you speak French to B1 level, mention it. Okay, if you are bilingual English and Spanish, mention it. Okay, any experience you have yourself as a language learner, okay, will let your employer know, or your prospective employer know, that you understand the process. Okay, you will be able to empathize with your students, and you will understand the process of learning a language. Even if your language learning took place decades ago, it doesn't matter. Still mention it. Okay, language skills can be a massive selling point. That said, if you don't have any other languages, don't worry either. Okay, it won't make or break your application. But if you do have experience learning other languages and speaking other languages, use it. So work experience, we've talked about this. If you have anything that will demonstrate any of those important teaching skills, mention it. Okay, and make it clear what skills you developed in that job. Hobbies and interests can also be a relevant section, especially if you are teaching, or if you're applying for a job to teach young learners. So, if music, drama, acting, if any of those are your skills, I would definitely mention it. Okay, because if your prospective employer sees that those are your particular hobbies, they know that you're not going to be shy and retiring and hiding in a corner. Okay. If you have any particular interests, like arts and crafts, or making things, anything relevant to the classroom, put it in your CV. Okay, that will be really, really helpful. not especially a hobby or interest, but if you have any first aid experience, employers love that too. So you can put that in your skills section. Okay, first aid is a really good one. Foreign travel. Now, if you have ever lived abroad before, mention it. Okay, a lot of schools are really afraid that teachers are going to arrive, they're going to get culture shock, and they're going to go home after 2 weeks. Okay, it happens more than you would think. So if you have any experience of living abroad, or if you ever did an exchange, student exchange trip, or if you went traveling for 6 months, or if there's a place that you have visited many times in the past, mention it. Okay, you want your employer to know that you're not going to freak out and run home after a few weeks, leaving them in the lurch. So that's also a really good point to mention. Okay, and of course, if you have ever worked as a teacher or a trainer or a tutor in any capacity, be sure to mention that too, because I always think teaching is teaching. Okay, I mean, sure, the content changes and the approaches change, but at the end of the day, if you have any experience as a teacher or trainer, be it as a sports coach, or be it as a tutor for small kids in a primary school or elementary school, mention it. Okay, that can be really important. Your teaching or training experience or tutoring experience does not have to be in teaching English. It can be in anything. Okay, so that about covers it for the CV for the moment. Let's take a step backwards though, because there's something important that comes even before the CV, and that is your cover letter. Now, I know that we don't tend to send as many actual letters these days. For a lot of us, it will be a cover email as opposed to a cover letter, unless you want to, type out a lovely cover letter and also attach it to an email. That's absolutely fine too. Okay. The point of a cover letter is just to showcase your skills and your talents. Okay. Use your cover letter to present a strong argument. Okay. Why should they hire you? Okay. Your cover letter is like your sales pitch, probably even more so than your CV. Okay. So when you are creating your cover letter, here are some tips to bear in mind. Keep it formal, okay, relatively formal, okay. Bear in mind you are introducing yourself to a prospective employer, okay, so keep it respectful, keep it formal. As we said before, try to keep it accurate, okay. These employers will follow up on any references you give, okay, so there's no point telling untruths in your cover letter or in your CV, okay, because schools do follow up with any references provided. So keep the information accurate. I think it's always nice and smart to keep it in business format. Okay, so keep it with your name, your address, the date, the school's name, address, etc. Try to keep it business format. If you don't want to go the whole formal route, at least put your own name, address, and date. Remember to keep your greetings and your sign-offs appropriately formal. So starting off with dear whoever. If you don't know the name of the person you're applying to, like if that hasn't featured in the job ad, it can be worth just emailing the school and asking them for the name of the person that you need to address. Or the name of the person who you are going to email your application to. Okay, so make sure you put in your nice formal greeting, dear Mr. whoever, or dear Miss whoever, or dear recruitment team if you have no other option, and then sign it off. As ever, if you have used the person's surname, sign off with yours sincerely. If you have not used their surname or you don't know their name, yours faithfully. Okay, that will make a nice impression on the reader. When it comes to the format of your cover letter, it should be maybe 4 or 5 short paragraphs. Yeah, even 3 or 4 short paragraphs. Please don't make it too lengthy. It needs to be to the point and it needs to be engaging. So in the first paragraph, you will introduce yourself. Okay, tell them your name. Tell them where you saw the ad. Employers always like to see this. Yeah, they always like to know what recruitment channel is working best for them. So you may say something like, I saw your ad on the TEFL Academy jobs board. Okay, or I saw your ad on TEFL.com. Okay, so let them know where you saw the ad and briefly tell them why you are interested. Okay, so I saw your ad on the TEFL Academy jobs board and I was immediately interested as I have always wanted to live and work in whatever the country is. Okay, or I have always wanted to work with young learners. Okay, so just a brief mention of why you are interested in the job. Then, as for the main body of the cover letter, you can put in 2 to 3 informative paragraphs. Okay, so you can tell them more about yourself and your skill set. Yeah, you can say why the job really appeals to you. You can elaborate on that. Yeah, you can tell them what skills you would bring to the job. Okay, give them an idea of your motivation for doing it, why you think you will be a good teacher. Again, remember to stress the fact that you are qualified because this will set you apart from the many people who aren't. You've really got to do a sales pitch for yourself in your cover letter. Then your concluding paragraph, thank the person for their time and attention and indicate that you hope to hear back from them soon. Okay, and then the sign off. Again, yours faithfully, yours sincerely. Yeah, best regards, etc. Okay, end it on a nice, polite note. Okay. I would also say, just before we look at our final slide, your cover letter does not need to be like a summary of your CV. Okay. Your cover letter just basically needs to be you giving a sales pitch on yourself and making the recruiter or the employer interested in learning more about you by reading your CV. Okay, so it's really, really important that in your cover letter you demonstrate your enthusiasm, yeah, and your willingness to do the job. Okay, and your interest in the country that you will be potentially going to work and live in. Okay, nice. So, just to summarize then, let's look at some more don'ts that we may have missed along the way. I guess a very tempting thing to do, but something that we should not do, is send the same CV and cover letter to dozens of schools at the same time. Okay, I get why you want to do it, like you want to save yourself time and you want to give yourself the best possibility of reaching as many schools as possible, but please don't. It's very, very obvious to prospective employers when they read a cover letter and CV that is so generic, it could apply to any school in the whole world or any job vacancy. So please take the time to tailor your cover letter and CV to the specific school you are applying to. I promise you it will be noticed and it will be appreciated. Even if, in your cover letter you say, oh, I saw the job for your school on such a website. Okay, that will let them know that you are addressing their job ad specifically. Okay. Or if you mention, it has been a long-held dream of mine to visit Thailand, for example, to visit and work in Thailand. Yeah, as I find the history and the culture fascinating. Yeah, just anything you can do to tailor your CV and cover letter to the specific school in the specific country that it is located in, that will be very, very much appreciated by the employer or the recruiter. Also, try to keep it short, okay? Your CV, or your resume, try not to go over 1 page. If you really need to, you can push it to 1.5 pages, but really, really try to condense it to 1 page. As you can imagine, schools and recruiters are getting a lot of CVs all the time. So, if there's anything too long or complex, chances are they will not give it the due attention it deserves. Okay, so try to keep it as concise as possible. Okay, so that was a lot of information on jobs and cover letters. Why don't I now give the floor over to you all? This is your chance to type in any questions you may have about what we've talked about in this session. We're just going to stick to the topics of CVs and cover letters. If I see any other questions on other topics, I'm probably not going to answer it. Okay, so let's keep it to CVs and cover letters. If you have questions about any other aspect of the course, send a ticket to tutor support and we will be only too happy to help. All right, so let's go. Type in those questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to see where you all are today, which is always my favorite part. So we have Canada, we have Turkey, South Africa, Myanmar or Myanmar. I'm never quite sure how to say that. How exciting. I don't think I've ever seen a trainee from there before, so welcome. We have Joe in Alabama. Hello. Our paths have crossed many times in these webinars. South Africa, London. Abu Dhabi, welcome. And Graham. Hello, Graham. I definitely remember your name. Let's see. Graham from Edinburgh. Thanks for your previous encouragement and webinars. I have my level 5. Woo! Well done, Graham. Good job. I'm so pleased to hear that. Really, really, really well done. That is exciting. Okay. We have Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. So hello, Vru. How do you explain having a customer complaint against you online? It seems employers are turning more and more to online searches of prospective employees. Oh gosh, yes, I hadn't really thought about that, Vru. I guess if you know about the complaint in advance, like if you are aware that it's out there, I guess you could preempt it. Like if you do get an interview with that company, you can preempt it somewhat, or you can have an answer prepared for it. Apart from that, I guess you could just contact Google. I know don't they have some system in place where they can remove harmful or damaging information about you? Like, can't you request that be hidden from search? But yeah, that would definitely be worth investigating if there's any way of getting it removed. But if you can't get it removed, I would just have an answer prepared for that. Be prepared to defend yourself in an interview. But yeah, that's a difficult situation. I hadn't thought about that, Vru. If anything occurs to me over the next 30 minutes, I will come back to you, okay? Thank you for your question. Okay, so hello, Nicoline. Good afternoon. How important are references? I don't really have contact with former employers anymore. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that can be an issue, Nicoline. I guess if you don't have any employer references, you should at least have some character references, or, you know, somebody that you have worked with in some capacity, maybe not formal employment, like if you've done any volunteering or if you're part of any groups, you know, any hobby groups, interest groups. You know, you should at least have some references, just so your employer can check that you are a person of good character. That sounds like a very old-fashioned formal phrase, but that's, you know, that's what they're looking for. So even if you don't have an employer reference, you should at least have a character reference. Okay. I find anyway, though, with employer references these days, that companies tend to give just very factual references. Like they will say, yes, Nicoline worked here between blah year and blah year. Okay. Or, you know, she held the position of whatever. Okay. So actually, it may not be a bad idea contacting your previous employers anyway, even if it was a long time ago, you know, because chances are that they would only give you a factual reference anyway. I would, you know, if you have any contacts there or in your previous employment, or even if you don't, I would email HR and just see what the deal is, because it would be very, very helpful to have a reference from a previous employer. Okay. So thank you, Nicoline. Okay. So hello, Larisha. Good to see you again. I also want to teach in Italy. Very nice. Is it crucial to state in the cover letter to learn Italian while I'm there? Well, absolutely, Larisha. Why not? I mean, that could only be a good thing, right? If you say that you are, you know, you are excited to learn the language, to integrate, yeah, to make Italy your home. Yeah, that could only be seen as a positive thing. If you have already started learning Italian, maybe just on Duolingo or something, you could say, you know, I have already started learning Italian. You know, I love the language. I'm very interested in the culture. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I cannot overstate the importance of showing enthusiasm for other languages, or just for the world of language learning in general. Okay. And another question related to that, Larisha, will schools include these types of training while you're there? Very often. I mean, probably not all schools, but most schools will offer like subsidized language classes in whatever the language of the country is. I know, for example, in Spain, I worked for a school, a language school that taught a couple of different languages, not just English. So I actually got to do Spanish lessons for free in the same school. And I worked in another school in France, and I didn't get free French lessons, but I got subsidized, like I only had to pay 20% or something of the course. So yeah, that's a really good question for an interview, Larisha, I think. Like if they do want to give you an interview, yeah, you could definitely ask that. There's no harm in asking. All right, thank you, Larisha. Oh, and look, we have Anne in Italy. Excellent. So hello, Anne. We were just talking about Italy. Okay. So hello, Zaki. Are online jobs available and advertised? You want to work from home? Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you go along to the TEFL Academy jobs board, or if you check out other recruitment sites like TEFL.com, you know, you will find a lot of online jobs. I'm just thinking now, CVs for online jobs, they're very similar to everything we've said, but you don't have to show as much, you know, well, you don't have to demonstrate interest in any other countries other than your own, because, you know, you will be staying at home, working from home. So if you are working online, you can just, you know, express an interest with meeting students from all over the world, yeah, internationally. All right, but yeah, lots of jobs out there, Zaki, absolutely. Okay, so hello, Anna. Is it legal to request native speakers only in EU countries? Yeah, this is a really important topic, Anna. Honestly, I'm not sure about the legality of it, but, morally and ethically, it should not be happening. If you do see any jobs that are specifying native speakers, make sure to email them and challenge them. Okay, because, that's not fair. It's not, it's discriminatory. Yeah, it is discriminatory. It is not best practice at all. So if you do see those jobs, yeah, contact them and challenge them, because that is not the way we want to move forward. Okay. Yeah, legally, I'm not quite sure what the situation is. I know in France, there is an organization that I know French teachers have contacted in the past. It's something about rights, worker rights, or I'll have a think. If I can think of the name of the organization, I'll tell you, because I'm sure every country has a similar organization that if you feel you're being discriminated against, you can contact. So, for example, some schools in France, recently they advertised native speakers, and one of my friends challenged them, and they got them to reword the ad and, to take away the native speaker bit from the ad. So yeah, you can definitely, if you do see a job that specifies native speakers, challenge it and see if you can take it higher. Because yeah, we do not want that going on at all. Okay. Thank you, Anna. Good question. Zaki, I am 70. Will it count against me looking for jobs? I don't think so, Zaki. I've never really encountered age discrimination. Especially if you're going to be working online. I mean, how will they? No, I don't think it matters, Zaki, honestly. And honestly, if it did matter, I would not want to work for whatever company discriminated against me on the basis of age. Okay. Sayedul, you had a similar question. No, I've never ever encountered an age limit on an ad. I've always worked with teachers of all ages. So yeah, hopefully age would never be an issue. Okay, so hello, Jeannie. How likely are there online jobs in Guyana, South America? Oh gosh, Jeannie, I've no idea. I don't know, I'm afraid. Do you mean that you are currently living in Guyana, South America? So the great thing about online jobs is you can do them from anywhere. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what country you're in. Okay, because it's online, you can teach students internationally from all over the world. As long as you have a good internet connection, yeah, it doesn't matter what country you're working from. All right, thank you, Jeannie. Okay, Lala, in South Africa, we have 11 official languages. Would it be relevant for me to note that I am learning one of my country's official languages? Why not? All language learning is good language learning. Learning a language means you have experience in the process, and you will hopefully be able to help your students because of that experience. Okay. Anna, I think you've advertised one in Poland recently. Okay, I shall look into that. But yeah, I think you should contact the school anyway. Yeah, and challenge them on that. And yeah, I will look into that. Thank you, Anna. So Jeannie, I'm living in Canada. Oh, awesome. Well then, Jeannie, teaching online in Guyana. You'll be teaching from Canada, right? So yeah, you can stay in Canada, teach online. Perhaps you may get some students from Guyana. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Jeannie. So Lifestyles channel in the UK, we are encouraged not to put date of birth on CVs. Yeah, same here. I think it's very much a personal choice thing, whether you want to put it or not. I don't put it. I never put it, but yeah, it's up to you to put it or not. Again, some countries may request it. They may require it for something or other. But yeah, if it's not actively requested, I do not put it either. All right. So hello, Barbara. Will this video be available through our coursework or for TEFL certification for reference? Yes, Barbara, absolutely. If you go along to our TEFL Academy YouTube channel, all of the webinars will be there. So we have webinars going back for years now. So yeah, today is Saturday, right? So Monday or Tuesday next week, so within 2 or 3 days, this webinar will be on the TEFL Academy YouTube channel, and it will stay there for all eternity. So you can go back and watch at any time. Okay. Hello, Lisa Marie. I can't get references for 2 of my past teaching jobs because one of the schools closed down 20 years ago and the other school has a new head. What should I do in this situation? So I wonder, Lisa Maria, do you still have contact with your director of studies from the school that closed down? So, even if the school itself isn't open, do you have contacts with any of the management from there? If so, you could ask them, to be one of your referees for sure. And the other school has a new head. Well, they should still have a record of you having worked there, or there may still be some members of management who were there when you were. So, just check that out. See if you have any possibility of using one of the key members of staff there as your referee. Okay, time to call in all of your old contacts. Okay. So hello, Alice in Wonderland. How soon is it possible to find a job abroad after certification? Oh, as soon as you can, Alice. As soon as you can. I know a lot of teachers who actually start applying for jobs while they are still doing their course, so that a lot of them have something lined up for when they finish. Okay. So if you wanted to start applying for jobs now, in your TEFL qualification section, you could say that I am currently studying, level 5 TEFL diploma from the TEFL Academy, and I will be finishing, or I am expecting to finish in September 2024 or whatever. Okay, so say that you are doing it and let them know more or less when you will be finished. And that way they can kind of factor you into their plans. But if you do want to finish the course first, literally the second you finish it, you start applying. All right, and good luck. Okay, good. So let's see, do we have any more? So Jeannie, I'm just wondering if there are jobs advertised there. I'm not sure, Jeannie. Honestly, I don't remember ever having seen one in Guyana, but that is not to say that they don't exist. I'm sure if you throw in a quick Google search, like TEFL jobs Guyana, something will come up. I would also say that if you happen to be there, like if you visit Guyana, just look up local schools and turn up at their door. Okay. That goes for, all of you, no matter what country you find yourself in. You don't always have to find the job in advance. Yeah. Obviously it's easier, it's sometimes a lot easier if you do have the job in advance so that you can prepare yourselves and, you can start working immediately once you get there and start bringing in some money. But, if you can afford to just go to the country and visit schools physically, that's amazing. That's the dream, because you can go see the school, get a feel for the area, etc. So yeah, Jeannie, either, do a nice Google search for TEFL jobs Guyana, or actually go there and just hit the ground running. Go meet some directors of studies in whatever schools are there. All right. So, hey Graham, may also be useful to state in CV having something like Protecting Vulnerable Groups Scheme Certificate if you will work with children or other groups, also called disclosure, maybe a UK thing. Yeah, Graham, absolutely. I mean, that would be really, really good to mention. Some schools will require a background check, like especially if you are intending to work with children or vulnerable groups. You know, they may request that you get a background check or some sort of vetting. In Ireland, we call them guard vetting. Okay, so it's just a check to make sure that you have, no criminal convictions, you haven't been in trouble with the law, etc. So yeah, that could well be requested. But even if that isn't requested, yeah, you can definitely mention that you have a relevant certification like that. Okay. So hello, Cindy. I joined the session late. No worries. Yes, it will be available. So if you go to our YouTube channel, just type in the TEFL Academy and you will see our channel has all of the webinars going back a really long time. And this webinar will be posted Monday or Tuesday next week. So in a couple of days. Okay. So Kiara, video is helpful. Good, thank you. My CV was completely different. Yeah, that's pretty typical, Kiara. TEFL CVs are a bit different. Okay, you're coming at things from a different angle. So yeah, I'm glad it's helpful. I'm sure it won't be too difficult to adapt your current CV to a format that will suit the TEFL industry. Okay, Jeannie Mack, thank you, much appreciated, very welcome. I'm a supply teacher and have been for the past 4 years. Oh, amazing. So you already have tons of teaching experience. I love that. So for those of you that do already have teaching experience, obviously focus on that in your work experience. Okay, you don't have to be making links between transferable skills and other jobs. If you already have teaching experience, because you just get to talk about your real life experience in the classroom. So yeah, great. Yeah, teaching is teaching. That's what I always say. Were you elementary school, Jeannie, or high school? I'm sure some of you may have some tutoring experience, even if it's informal. As I said before, it doesn't matter what the content of what you tutored in was, or what you taught, or what you trained people to do. Yeah, but if you do have any experience in the education field, make sure it is on your CV. Okay. Elementary. Oh, how lovely, Jeannie. I love working with young learners. Oh, you just said the same. Oh, I love young learners. Oh, I miss them. I don't do it so much anymore, but I really, really miss my kids. I say my kids, my students. All right, good. So do we have any other questions? We still have 5 minutes, which is good. So let's make the most of it. Anything else you want to ask, please type in your question into chat and we can address it. I'm just going to run back through and make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay. Okay, I think I have managed to answer all of the questions. Thank you all so much for your kind words. That is very much appreciated. Okay. So, Vru, what hourly rate should we realistically expect with the level 5 certificate but no degree and no prior teaching experience? Oh, Vru, I'm going to be really annoying here and I'm going to tell you that it depends. Like, every country is different. Okay, they will all have like a different baseline. Okay, you know, countries with a higher cost of living will tend to have higher salaries. Yeah, you know, I don't think in TEFL we're ever going to get rich. You know, it's not a job we get into to get rich. But if it's a high cost of living country, they will tend to pay a bit better. But you know, if it's a country that does not have such a high cost of living, the wages can be really, really low. I would say just research. You know, if you are going to live in a country, live and work in another country, make sure you do your research on the cost of living there and make sure that your salary will be enough. If you're coming from a country like, say, in Ireland, for example, we tend to have high-ish wages, but it's also super expensive. So if I look, for example, at a job in Vietnam and I see that they're paying maybe $10 an hour, to me, from my Irish perspective, that seems so low. Okay, but if I actually go to Vietnam, I might discover that, hang on, $10 is a lot of money. Like, this gives me a really nice lifestyle. So, you know, try not to see the wage from the perspective of the country you're in. If it's an expensive country, try to research what it's like in that country. Does that make sense? I hope so. But yeah, it's all about, you know, the wage relative to the cost of living in whatever country you are interested in. Okay, I hope that made sense. I think I made that sound very convoluted. Okay. Lala, I have been tutoring secondary school students privately, business sciences, as this is my line of work. Oh, very interesting. May I note these students' parents as references? Why not, Lala? As long as, you know, the parents are willing to do it and they know that you've given them as references, why not? You know, a happy customer, you know, is a very valuable reference. And especially as it's a tutoring job too, you know, it's a teaching job as well. So yeah, go for it. As long as you have everybody's permission, I don't see why not. All right. Good. And Graham, previous teaching experience only teaching Sunday school at church, but TEFL and this will complement each other. Absolutely. Oh, teaching is teaching, Graham. I would definitely emphasize that teaching experience. And especially that you've been working with young learners. Yeah, because a lot of schools you go to work for abroad, you know, it will involve some element of teaching young learners. Yeah, almost guaranteed, unless you really don't want to teach young learners, in which case you'll be looking for adult schools. But yeah, I would definitely emphasize that. That's really, really good. All right, excellent. So everybody, looking at my clock, I can see that we only have 1 minute left. So I want to take the opportunity to say thank you all so much for coming along, for all of your wonderful questions. And yeah, I wish you all the best of luck in doing the rest of your course. And if you're finished, like Graham, I wish you all of the best of luck for your teaching career going forward. As always, I want to urge you to go along to our TEFL Academy YouTube channel. There you will find all of the webinars we've done, okay, over the last few years. I also have a request. We are always looking to improve and to offer you topics that you are interested in. So if you could take a moment to go along to this link, you will find a very short survey where you can give us your opinions on the webinar, and you can make any suggestions that you may have regarding future topics. I've just put the link in the chat box too to make it easier for you to go there. All right, so I hope to see you all again very soon, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right, bye-bye.